The boarding area pulsed with the usual buzz of rolling luggage, last-minute seat changes, and boarding calls echoing through speakers. Among the crowd stood 16-year-old Aria Bennett, quiet, composed, her boarding pass clenched in both hands. Her gray hoodie bore the faded crest of a university she dreamed of attending one day, a gift from her aunt the Christmas before. She wore neat jeans and white sneakers, their laces double-knotted as her father always reminded her. It was her first flight alone. Aria's stomach fluttered with nerves, but she held herself steady. Her father had hugged her tight before she went through security, whispering, "Stay sharp, stay kind, and text if anything feels wrong." She'd promised she would. When Group B was called, Aria stepped forward, clutching her carry-on close. Most people gave her space, but one woman in a sleek trench coat slid ahead without acknowledgement. Aria didn't make a fuss. She simply stepped back and waited her turn. The scent of brewing coffee and worn leather greeted her as she stepped onto the aircraft. A blonde flight attendant with sharp red lipstick and a name tag that read Margot greeted passengers with a practiced smile. When Aria approached, that smile vanished. Margot gave her a once-over, glanced at her boarding pass, and said flatly, "Left side. But I think you're in the wrong section." Aria checked the pass again. "Seat 2A, she said. "That's business class, sweetheart. Coach is further back." "You must mean 12A, Margot said, loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. Heat rose in Aria's cheeks. She turned the boarding pass around so Margot could see. Her name. Seat 2A. It was all there. Margot paused, then gave a stiff smile. "Oh, all right then. Go ahead." No warmth in her eyes. Aria passed, gripping her bag tighter. Sliding into her seat by the window, she noticed the man across the aisle glance at her, then quickly look away. No one said anything, but she could feel the tension floating around her like static. Aria pressed her lips together and looked out the window, pretending not to notice. A man in a gray blazer settled into the seat beside her, nodding once. She returned the nod, her voice tucked away. Pulling out her phone, she messaged her dad. "Boarded. In seat. All good." She left out the part about Margot. It didn't seem worth mentioning. Not yet. Up ahead, Margot moved through the aisle with professional ease. Her badge shimmered beneath the cabin lights as she offered drinks to the man in 1C, then the woman in 1A with the designer bag. When she reached Aria's row, Margot leaned toward the man beside her. "Would you like anything to drink before takeoff?" "Just water, thanks," he replied. Margot nodded and moved on. She didn't ask Aria. Didn't glance her way. Aria hesitated, then quietly asked, "Could I get some water too?" Margot turned back. "Service is for business class only before takeoff, Han." "I am in business class," Aria replied. Margot's eyes swept over her again. Then she said, "We'll begin full service after we're in the air." The man beside Aria looked between them, then back at his newspaper. Margot returned to the front. Aria sat motionless, embarrassed, not from guilt, but from being made to feel so small. In the galley, a younger flight attendant named Jamie caught the exchange. She paused for just a moment longer than necessary, eyes lingering on Aria, then turned back to her duties. The plane door closed with a hiss. The captain's voice came through the intercom, smooth and confident. Aria barely listened. Margot's voice still rang in her head. Honorable. It wasn't the word. It was the way it landed. Sharp. Patronizing. Like a lid screwed tight on something that shouldn't be opened. The plane taxied. Aria pressed her knees together and held her hoodie hem. She could feel occasional glances. No one said anything. She turned slightly. Margot was laughing in the galley, pouring water for other passengers. Across the aisle, a woman whispered to her husband. They both looked at Aria. The man shrugged. Aria typed another message. Still in seat. Just tired. She erased tired, replaced it with all good. The engines roared. The plane lifted. Clouds slipped past the window. Stillness settled in, but inside her, something shifted. The seatbelt sign turned off. People moved, clicked trays open, adjusted blankets. Aria remained still. Her hands pressed together until her thumbs turned white. She hadn't noticed until she looked down. Slowly, she relaxed them. The man beside her read his newspaper. Aria wondered what he thought. Did he see? Did he care? She replayed the earlier moment. Margot's face. Her tone. Not everyone noticed. But Aria had. She knew that tone. The polite edge that hides something sharp. She didn't want to cry. Not in front of someone like Margot. She focused on the safety card. Then the screen in front of her. Then the little plane crawling across the map. Jamie returned, quiet, gentle. She crouched beside Arya's seat. I brought you some water. Sorry for the wait. Arya blinked. Thank you. Jamie stayed a moment. Her eyes held an apology she couldn't say aloud. Then she moved on. Arya took a long sip. It helped. A little. She stared at the condensation on the bottle, letting it anchor her. The meal carts rolled out. Murmurs resumed. Margot returned. She handed a tray to the man beside Arya, tucked a napkin in carefully. Then turned to Arya. You'll have to wait. We're finishing front rows first. Arya opened her mouth. Closed it. The man beside her cleared his throat. She hasn't received anything. Can she at least get a drink? Margot smiled tightly. We'll get to her. She moved on. Arya stared straight ahead. She didn't blame him. No one ever stayed in the fight long. Her reflection in the window stared back. She didn't recognize the older look in her own eyes. She typed a message. Still happening. Deleted. Typed again. Just checking in. Still not right. Deleted. She dropped the phone in her lap. You're not alone, her father once said. Someone always sees. She wasn't sure anymore. Jamie passed again. This time she paused. Quietly, she placed a tray on Arya's table. No words. Just a nod. It didn't fix anything. But it mattered. Arya lifted the lid. A simple meal. A roll. Fruit. It wasn't about the food. She picked up the fork. Not because she was hungry, but because it reminded her she had a right to be there. Each bite was silent defiance. The cabin buzzed. Pages turned. Headphones clicked. But inside, Arya still carried the weight. She thought of her father again. Calm, steady, always watching. What would he have done? Maybe what she was doing. Waiting. Holding ground. Margot's voice floated from the front. Laughing now. Like none of it happened. The curtain to the cockpit rustled. Out stepped Captain Elias Bennett. He walked the aisle slowly. Margot turned, startled. Captain, she said. Is everything all right? He didn't answer her. He stopped at Arya's row. You good, Ari? His voice was soft. Not the one for the intercom. The one for scraped knees and science projects. Arya nodded. Yeah, I'm okay. Gasps fluttered around. That's her dad, someone whispered. Margot paled. Captain Bennett turned to her. Could you step into the galley for a moment? Of course, Margot said, flustered. She disappeared behind the curtain. Arya didn't move. Her father placed a hand on her shoulder. I saw your message. I didn't want to make it a thing, she whispered. It already was. She nodded. He left quietly. The curtain swished shut. The man beside her shifted. Straighter now. The woman across the aisle nodded softly. Arya opened her dad's last text. Keep breathing. You're stronger than you think. She believed it now. A few minutes later, Margot returned. Her face tighter, smile gone. I wanted to apologize, she said. If I came across as unprofessional. I heard you, Arya replied. Not forgiveness. Not acceptance. Just acknowledgement. Margot nodded and left. The man beside her let out a breath. You changed the room today, he said. Arya didn't answer. Just nodded. The plane descended. The city lights blinked below. She stepped off the plane with her father by her side. You all right? He asked. I will be, she replied. You already are. And for the first time, she believed it. She didn't leave the moment behind. She carried it forward. Quiet. Real. Because one day, someone else would sit in seat 2A. And they wouldn't feel alone.